So
Same concept.
How did they know if he wasn't right and if he got struck dead in the Holy of Holies, they didn't hear those bells?
But they didn't hear them for a while, and then they would start pulling on the rope
Yeah.
to pull him back out.
Yeah.
Oh, Vince, there's something you need to look up online. It's a song that I found on my smartphone. I'm finding all kinds of neat things. It's the most anointed song you will ever hear. And it's called Into the Holy of Holies.
I've heard that.
Oh,
That's a good song.
that is beautiful.
Well, I'll have to talk with Dawn. We'll have to do that on a Sunday morning.
Into the Holy of Holies.
Powerful.
It's very soft, very melodic. It's not a loud, in-your-face kind of song. But man, it's beautiful.
It's a great song.
So again, the Holy of Holies is a very sacred place. And to consider what Antiochus Epiphanes did is an absolute abomination against God, but also against the Jewish people. And again, we're here to learn more than just the historical facts. They are interesting. But this is not a history class. You're not going to be tested on the history of the book of Daniel or any biblical history. It's to get the underlying theme of the control, or the more theological term, the sovereignty of God. Sovereignty and control pretty much mean the same thing. But sovereignty is the $5,000 word. The cheap word is control. It means the same thing. God is in control of human affairs. And again, Jonathan Cahn, the oracle. You read it and your mouth just drops like, I don't believe this. Down to and including the scriptures appointed to be read on various days. We talked about Mark Twain. On the day that he was in Jerusalem getting ready to leave, there was an appointed scripture from ancient times to be read in the synagogues of that day. And it was about the stranger coming and observing the land. That was the appointed scripture from centuries ago, was precisely on the day that Jonathan Twain was ready to leave Jerusalem and go back and proclaim to the world what he had seen in desolation. The scripture appointed for that day, the stranger will come and see the land and proclaim it around the globe. Amazing!
Yeah.
What are the odds that on the exact day that Mark Twain is getting ready to leave, the appointed scripture, again from centuries earlier, would indicate that his presence there would broadcast the events that he had seen. And the scriptures to be read when Truman was president and when he was making his declaration of Israel. The scripture was lining up perfectly with it. Unbelievable. If you don't have time to read the book, check out Jonathan Cahn online. He is a modern-day prophet of
He's
God.
having a big gathering in Washington, D.C., September 25th or 26th.
Yeah.
That would be the Jewish High Holy Days, the fall.
Yes.
Is it?
The fall.
40 days before election.
Okay.
And he's calling all Christians
Like
to
a
come
revival.
there, to humble themselves and repent and seek God.
New York Times doesn't think very highly of him. But who cares?
Yeah,
The New York
who cares?
Times doesn't like anyone. Many see this as the culminating event in what Daniel refers to as the rebellion that causes desolation. That is, it is the rebellion that brings about the desecration of the temple. Antiochus' success is attributed to rebellion by some of the Jewish people. They had turned from following God to adopting Hellenist practices and beliefs. Hellenist means Greek. Why they don't say Greek here, I don't know. But Hellenist beliefs, Greek beliefs are the same thing. Thus helping to bring about this abomination. The oppression and religious persecution would last until the Seleucids were defeated in the Maccabean revolt, a series of battles that lasted several years beginning in 167. The temple was rededicated in 165, and so the 2,300 evenings and mornings is a round number that corresponds to the time between 171, the taking of Jerusalem, and the cleansing of the temple in 165. Again, the precise timing of God in giving the exact number of days between when the temple is taken and when it is rededicated back to its original purposes. Only God can do that. There is no logical explanation. And there is no logical explanation as to how everything fits together in world history other than the hand of God. Jonathan Cahn says as he was discovering this stuff, he was being blown away. And he has a really unique way of taking biblical truth and putting it in an interesting story. And the oracle is about an older prophetic kind of figure who reveals all these things, and there's different doors. And I highly recommend the oracle. Highly recommend. And I recommend that song too, Into the Holy of Holies.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Just don't do it 2 weeks from today because I won't be here. I'm going back to being a Baptist that Sunday. Although I'm not going to make the same mistake with communion that I made last time. I'm going to open that little cup of juice before the service. They had, because of the whole COVID thing, it was all together in one. It was a cup of juice, and on top of that was the wafer. And you would pull back the first piece of cellophane, that would release the wafer. I had a problem with that. The second piece was to release the covering on the juice to drink it. I couldn't get that thing open, no how. After preaching, my hands were sweaty, and I couldn't flip that thing back. So I'm trying to lead the people in communion, and I can't get my cup open. So if they still have those things next time, believe me, before the service starts, I'm going to peel that juice back. That's the first time they had ever used those. The pastor had ordered them before his retirement. It was an embarrassing moment. I was human. I couldn't get the thing open. What happened to the Jewish people was partially the result of some of them turning from God's ways to the ways of the pagan world around them. As such, it serves as a warning to Christians today. The warning to Christians is do not abandon the faith. Stay faithful to God no matter what. For we are being tested. And God will test us to see who is truly reliable and who falls away. So that is a brief history of the ancient world, and it's not just about the historical facts. If you don't remember them 5 minutes from now, who cares? What you do need to remember is that God is in control, and God will accomplish His will and His ways at the time of His choosing. We do not dictate to God what He will do and when He will do it. If you ever want to get into a losing battle, go to war against God.
Yeah.
Let's just say, and this is not very good grammar, you ain't going to win. Against God, you will not win. He will accomplish His will. And if you're not willing to do it, He'll move you aside and bring somebody else in to do it. He will accomplish His will. All right, next week, and I am here next week, we will be doing prophecy about the 70 weeks. And again, Daniel and Revelation go hand in hand, glove in glove. They fit together very nicely. Revelation going into a whole lot more detail than Daniel. As we see, Daniel's getting pretty detailed concerning ancient history. Revelation more has to do with future history, future events. Thank you.
Very
We'll
good.
be